Some of the most positive people you know are secretly exhausted. Because forcing yourself to think positive while emotionally drowning feels like smiling underwater. And eventually, the mind gets tired of pretending. You repeat affirmations. You watch emotional videos. You try to stay hopeful. You tell yourself, everything will work out. But late at night, your chest still feels heavy. Your thoughts still race. Your energy still disappears. And then there comes the dangerous question. If positive thinking works, why do I still feel this way? That question silently breaks many people because nobody prepared them for this truth. Positive thoughts cannot heal pain that has never been honestly faced. There are people who wake up every morning saying, I am blessed, I am strong, I am fine. But inside, they feel emotionally disconnected from themselves. Not because positivity is bad, but because many people use positivity to avoid reality. That changes everything. A man once spent years trying to stay positive. Every morning, he listened to emotional speeches. Every day, he repeated affirmations in the mirror. Every conversation sounded hopeful. But the moment he was alone, he felt empty. Not sad, empty. And he hated that feeling. So he kept filling his mind with more positivity, more noise, more inspiration, more distraction, until one night, his body finally broke down emotionally. Not because he was weak, but because he had spent years speaking over wounds he never allowed himself to feel. That happens more than people realize. Some people are not healing. They are emotionally covering themselves with motivational language. And eventually, the max becomes exhausting. Because the human mind knows when something is forced. You can say, I'm happy, but your nervous system may still feel unsafe. You can say, I believe in myself, but deep inside, you may still feel failure, rejection, or abandonment. This is why positive thinking alone often fails. Because thoughts are not the deepest layers of a human being. Pain lives deeper than language sometimes. And this creates a hidden conflict inside people. Their mouth says, I'm okay. Their body says, no, you are not. Their mind says, be grateful. Their emotion says, I'm overwhelmed. So now, instead of healing, they begin fighting themselves internally. And that internal war drains energy, quietly. Some people became addicted to positivity because they feared what would happen if they stopped pretending, if they sat in silence. Real emotions would appear: grief, anger, loneliness, disappointment, fear. They fear all this will appear. And many people were taught those emotions are negative. So instead of understanding them, they suppressed them. But suppressed emotions do not disappear. They transform, sometimes into anxiety, sometimes into emotional numbness, sometimes into overthinking, sometimes into unexplained exhaustion. This is why some people feel guilty for struggling, because they think, I have so much to be grateful for. So why am I still unhappy? Yes, but listen, gratitude and emotional pain can exist together. That truth frees many people. You can appreciate life and still feel wounded. You can be hopeful and still feel tired. You can believe in God and still battle emotionally. Being human is more complex than forced positivity. So here's the truth most people never hear. Positive thinking works best after truth is faced, not before. Because real healing is not pretending darkness does not exist. Real healing is learning how to walk through darkness without abandoning yourself. That is different. Many people try to upgrade their thoughts without understanding their emotional patterns. So the same pain keeps returning. Different day, same emotional cycle, because thoughts are like leaves on a tree, but emotional wounds are roots underground. You can paint leaves green all day, but unhealthy roots still affect the entire tree. That is why temporary motivation fades quickly for some people. The root was never addressed. And society quietly rewards emotional performance. People clap for the person who looks strong, smiles constantly, stays productive, keeps going. But many times, strong people are deeply tired inside because they became performers of positivity instead of honest human beings. That performance becomes lonely, very lonely. Dear friend, listen to this. Ancient wisdom across different cultures does something powerful. A person cannot heal while they refuse to feel. That truth survived generations for a reason. Because awareness transforms pain. Avoidance feeds it. And many people confuse avoidance with positivity, but they are not the same thing. Real positivity is not denial. It is emotional honesty with hope still remaining. That is deeper. Anyone can smile during comfort, but honest hope during emotional struggle, that changes a human being completely. Now, the deeper root begins revealing itself. Most people were never taught how to sit safely with difficult emotions. They were taught to escape them, distract themselves from them, overwork them, pray over them without understanding them. Stay busy, stay entertained, stay stimulated, anything except stillness. Because stillness reveals truth, and truth can feel uncomfortable before it feels freeing. So people continue saying, think positive, while silently, emotionally collapsing. That is why some people feel exhausted after trying to stay high vibe all the time, because forced positivity becomes emotional labor, and the soul eventually resists pretending. The deeper issue is not lack of positivity. It is lack of emotional integration. Part of you still feel unheard, unprocessed, unacknowledged. And no affirmation can permanently silence pain that is asking to be understood. In scriptures, it says, John 8:32, the truth will set you free. Notice something important, not distraction, not performance, not pretending. Truth, the truth. Because freedom begins when a person becomes honest about what is happening inside them. That honesty is uncomfortable at first, but healing often begins there. So here is a different kind of solution. Not another affirmation, my dear friend. Try this. For one day, pay attention every time you force yourself to stay positive. And ask, what emotion am I trying not to feel right now? Do not judge the answer. Just notice. Because awareness interrupts emotional autopilot. Maybe underneath the positivity is fear, or sadness, or exhaustion, or disappointment. In the moment you stop running from the emotion, it often loses some of its power. That is emotional integration, not suppression, not collapse, but awareness. A river becomes dangerous when blocked for too long. Pressure builds silently beneath the surface. Yes, human emotions work the same way. Feelings need movement, my dear friend. Acknowledgement, expression, not endless denial covered by motivational quotes. Even storms eventually release rain. Nature does not apologize for seasons. Neither should humans for having emotions. So if positive thinking has not fully worked for you, that does not mean you failed. It may simply mean your mind was trying to heal something your heart still needed help understanding. And maybe your exhaustion was never weakness. Maybe It was the emotional weight of pretending too long. You don't need to become negative, my dear friend. You don't need to abandon hope. You simply need honesty strong enough to stand beside hope. That creates real peace, not temporary emotional performance. Real peace. And maybe the strongest sentence a person can say is not, "I'm fine." Maybe sometimes it is to say, "I'm hurting, but I'm finally willing to understand why." Because that sentence opens the door most people spend years avoiding. Thanks so much. What part of this felt familiar to your life? And have you ever used positivity to hide what you truly felt? Let's hear your comments in the comment section. Thanks so much. ThePZipporah.